Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. We are on the 47th verse, which is Karmanevadhikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana Ma Karma Phalahe Turbhuhu Ma Te Sangostva Karmani. So we'll do this from here. The results of karma can never be predicted. However, for you, power and knowledge being limited, certain situations cannot be avoided. For want of power, you cannot avoid certain illnesses or accidents, like falling from a tree. You know that you are falling, and you may even know that you are accelerating downwards at a speed of 32 feet per second per second. All this you know very well, but so what? Down you come. It matters not whether you are a great physicist or an ignoramus. One may know all the reasons as to why he or she is falling, the gravitational force, and so on, while someone else has no understanding of gravitation at all. All that is known is that he or she is coming down. But for want of power, neither of them can avoid falling. Limitation with respect to power and knowledge, then, is the status of an individual. If this is so, Krishna's statement that one's choice is only over action, karmani eva adhikarahate, is very important. You may say that there is really no choice because so much is determined by your past and so on, but that is an endless debate. The point is that you do have a choice. To understand that much is enough. You can perform a given action, You need not do it, or you can do it differently. That capacity you have. Therefore, you do have choice. This is the reason why you do not do certain things, and you can force yourself to do other things, even though you do not feel like doing them, or you can do them differently. As a human being, then you have this choice, adhikara. But over the results of action, you have no choice whatsoever. Once you perform the karma, the result is taken care of. What choice do you have? If you had a choice over the result, you need not have done the karma at all. If you had any power over the result, you would always be successful. But because you are not omniscient, you do not know that a certain karma will produce a certain result. No one knows the ways of karma. To know how karma is going to produce its result and what result it is going to produce is very difficult to figure out. This is because your own past karmas may be inhibiting the results of the present karma. Thus, all we know is good luck and bad luck. Sometimes we find ourselves in the right place at the right time, and at other times we are in the right place but not at the right time. In order to get the desired result, I have to be at the right place at the right time. But I do not always know which is the right time and place. I can only keep trying. This means that there seems to be an element called luck involved here. But we do not call it luck. Instead, we refer to it as previous karma. If the cause effect relationship is understood, there is no question of luck. It is simply replaced by past karma. Being at the right place at the right time is karma, and being at the wrong place is also karma. Therefore, we really do not know. We can only go by our choice, our free will. The use of one's free will. You have a free will just as there is a free wheel in a car. You can only go by that. Whether the brakes will work or not is anyone's guess. You can check them, but at any time they can give way. That is why they have special ramps every few miles on the highways for runaway trucks whose brakes have failed. It is not that every truck driver takes to the road without first having checked the brakes, but that anything can go wrong at any time. This is because when things are put together, their tendency is to fall apart. Whether it is a human system or any other system, the tendency is always the same. This is this tendency to fall apart applies to relationships and houses also. In fact, we often spend more time maintaining our house than living in it. Therefore, here you can only go by your free will. There is nothing else you can do. What the result will be depends on so many unknown factors that it is always a question mark. Whether you want from a particular karma, whether what you want from a particular karma will happen as you expected is anyone's guess. Since you do not have a complete choice over the results of action, you had better recognize this limitation. Limitation here is not helplessness. Helplessness is felt only when you do not accept the limitation, and therefore it has a negative connotation. Whereas acknowledging limitation is being objective. Therefore, dismissing the concept of helplessness from our minds, we recognize our limitations as individuals. So there's a key change, key difference there, in that we do not feel helpless. Helpless is that when you're not able to accept the situation. But whereas limitation is when you acknowledge, then it is more like limitation. You understand that this is your limitation. Limitation with respect to what? With respect to the results of our actions. Because there is a limitation in knowledge and power, I cannot figure out exactly what I want. Nor do I know exactly what any given action will produce. When I understand this limitation, I can respond to the results of action in terms of samatva, evenness of mind. Any result can be responded to in either of two ways: dispassionately with samatva, or like a yo yo, elated because I got what I wanted, or suicidal because I did not. And if someone saves me from suicide, I will respond again like a yo yo, feeling that I could not even commit suicide successfully, thereby developing yet another complex. This yo yo response is because I think I am the author of every result of action, when in fact I am only the author of action. Depression is created by some onerous responsibility you have assumed, one that is absolutely illegitimate. You take what does not belong to you and then smart under it because you cannot always produce what you want. This is a fact. Then, why do you not just accept the fact? All that is required is to accept it objectively, to accept that this is how the creation is. This is what you are made up of, and no one else, even a Swami, is made any differently. All human beings have the same types of limitations. According to the Shastra, even the Devas have the same limitations, albeit with some small differences between them, just as there are between human beings. Similarly, while the President of the United States definitely has more power than other people, still he cannot appoint anyone he chooses as a judge. Once he realizes that he does not have a majority, he begins to withdraw quietly, proving that even presidential power is limited. Everyone's thumb has its size. Even if it swells, it can only become so big. The cause of one's sense of failure. Similarly, everyone has power only to a limited extent. You can improve your power, but only to a limited degree. Knowledge also is limited and can be improved upon only in a limited way. Anything else, such as your skills, health, longevity, your environment, are all limited and can be improved upon. But the improvement is always limited. Thus, there can be only an improved limitation. If this fact is understood clearly, then you do not take up the responsibility of authoring the results of action as you like. If you think you are the author of the results of action, you cannot but have a sense of failure. Is it not true? what is being discussed here is yoga. It is not jnana. It is simply an empirical, pragmatic attitude and has nothing to do with Atma and Anatma, the reality, Brahman, and so on. It is simply looking at yourself as you are in the world, seeing how the world is and your own position in the scheme of things. To convey this attitude to Arjuna, Krishna said, "Do not be the cause of the result of action. Ma karma phalahetuhu bhuhu, because you are not." So the reason why Swamiji mentioned the knowledge is limited and it can only be improved upon, and even that improved knowledge is limited. This is with respect to this empirical world. He is not talking about jnana. Jnana, of course, that's Satchit Ananda, that Chit, that aspect is limitless knowledge. That is not what is being talked about. Like if you do a PhD, there is always something else that you can do beyond that. Even that will be limited. So this knowledge that is being talked about here is the knowledge that a jiva has. It is not the absolute knowledge that was talked about earlier. Then what are you? You are merely the cause of action. You are not the cause of the result of action, but you're just merely the cause of action, karma hetu, not the cause of the result of action, karma phala hetu. You are the author of karma, but not the result thereof. Given this fact, the most appropriate thing to do is to take whatever result comes with an even attitude, samatva. By not getting what you want, you become wiser. Not getting what you want does not mean you have become a failure. It means only that your limited knowledge has improved somewhat. You have become wiser. Or, if the result is more than you expected, you are also wise. In addition, if you try again, thinking you will again get more, and the result is not as you expected, you say, "What luck!" Still, you have become wiser. Whether you gain or do not gain, there is always wisdom to gain. There is definitely something to learn. To know that you are the author of the action but not the results thereof produces samatva. In this context, samatva is nothing more than a pragmatic attitude. To make it karma yoga, we have to go one step further because karma yoga implies the acceptance of Ishvara. Unless you accept Ishvara, there is no karma yoga. There are a lot of people who are pragmatic and who take whatever happens in their stride and then proceed because they know it is all in the game of living and doing. They are more or less pragmatic, more or less objective because, of course, they have their bad days. This is simple samatva. So, this is not the attitude that we're talking about as karma yoga. Simply being practical, simply being an understanding that the results are not in your hands. The results can be different, and accepting the results. That is just a pragmatic attitude. That is only simple samatva. Karma yoga requires the recognition of Ishvara. Samatva as yoga, on the other hand, requires one more aspect: recognition of Ishvara. Once we say the result of one's action is not within our control and that it is taken care of, the next question is, what is it that takes care of it? I would repeat, Samatva as yoga, on the other hand, requires one more aspect: recognition of Ishvara. Once we say the result of one's action is not within our control and that it is taken care of, the next question is, what is it that takes care of it? All results are taken care of by certain laws, the body of which we call either the law of dharma or the law of karma. In fact, it is a law of karma. Other than the physical laws that we know and do not know, there does seem to be another order of law. We are always finding orders within orders. For example, when you lift your hand, physical laws are naturally at work. But there are also many other laws involved. Lifting the hand involves will. You have a thought and up it goes. There is nothing physical about this aspect of lifting your hand. You need not push any button. Thus, although we find that this physical body, this anatomical structure, is standing on this earth according to physical law, it is born into this world by certain biological as well as physical laws. There are also physiological and psychological laws. We find then that there are laws within laws, so that when I perform a simple karma, even my past karmas may infringe upon the result that I want from this particular action. We really do not know if this happens or not. Because we find ourselves lucky or not very lucky, we appreciate that there is some law at work. Whatever is the law that governs the karma and its results is the law of karma, and that law of karma includes various other laws also. No law is created by me. I am not the author of any law. If I were, I would not be helpless. I would always be able to accomplish whatever I wanted. There would be no problem. I could even reorganize the law to suit myself. I would not even need to cover the distance to reach a certain place. The place would come to me. Or I could think about being in a certain place and I would be there immediately. However, this is not the case. Therefore, we try to go by the laws, and at the same time, we do not know very much about them. Let's pause. Anyone wants to share or So it is because are not exactly as what we want them to be, we are not the author of the results of our actions. When that is understood, then there must be something else that governs the results of the of the law of our action. And therefore, that is there must be some other laws apart from the physical laws that we understand. And that is the law of karma. There are also physiological and psychological laws. So, when I perform a simple karma, even my past karmas may infringe upon the results that I want from this particular action. We really do not know if this happens or not. But because we find ourselves lucky or not very lucky, we appreciate that there is some law at work. That is the unknown factor. We do not know why the result of what we want. We set out to do a certain thing, but the end result is not always what we set out to do. Otherwise, if we knew that, then using our own will, we can just create, we can get the result of what we want, which is what is explained here. I could even reorganize the law to suit myself because no law is created by me. I am not the author of any law. If I were, I would not be helpless. I would always be able to accomplish whatever I wanted. There would be no problem. I could even reorganize the law to suit myself. I would not even need to cover the distance to reach a certain place. The place would come to me. But when we pause a little here, this is exactly what happens in our dream. In our dream world, we are able to create everything. In the dream, yes, we are the creator of our dream, both the action as well as the result. But in the waking state, we are only the author of our action. Therefore, we try to go by the laws, and at the same time, we do not know very much about them. Recognizing the author of the laws. As, as one who knows very little, I can only go by the known laws and know that the laws are not authored by me. Then the question may arise as to who authored them. Certainly not my grandfather. He and his father and grandfathers before him were themselves all born of these laws. They existed because of the laws, and they left the planet because of the same laws. The laws that bring people into being also take care of them, and then take care of them for good. You find these laws always operating, and no given person can be considered to be the author of them. To recognize the author, then, is to take one more step. You must first recognize that the author of the laws produces the results of action and that the laws themselves do not. When you go one step further and recognize the author as Ishvara, the Lord, you have the beginnings of Karma Yoga. There are still more steps to go, but this at least is the beginning. The creation is not created by me. Therefore, whoever did create it is Ishvara, and this same Ishvara is the giver of the results of action. When you receive money from someone month after month, the postman is the one who actually gives you the money. But this does not mean that the postman is a benevolent person who goes about distributing money to everyone like Santa Claus. There is someone other than the postman who is to be thanked. Similarly, the karma phala, the result, is produced by the law, and the law itself is produced by another intelligent being. That all intelligent being, Brahman, is called Ishvara, the Lord, with reference to the creation. He is the overlord, in fact, the top man and the boss, not limited by time, space, or anything. Let me know if you want me to repeat anything.
You gave the gist. The means the Ishvara is the lawmaker. Means all laws are governed by Ishvara, and Ishvara is a Brahman. Means that being, intelligent being.
Jai Gurudev, Brahmaraji, as you were saying that even we create our own dreams, but then we realize that even on our own dreams, we do not have any control. Though it is all about us, all about our consciousness, which is there in different forms, but still that is also not in our control, isn't it?
Very true. That's also limited. See, our dreams are also limited by our experiences, our
Yeah, the
and
situations.
each individual's dreams are different. My dream is not the same as your dream.
Mhm.
It is limited and it is unique to each person. There is no universality about the dream. The only universality of the dream is that you are the author of your dream and whatever happens in the dream. And like you very rightly pointed out, it is even those are limited. They are our capacity to dream also is limited by our own experiences and our past lives. Sometimes you get something which is very um, which is
Very
not related to the current life. Yeah, yeah.
very weird dreams sometimes. I mean, which has no connection to the real world or reality.
Correct.
And that also happens, right? It is not like consciously we do. Unless there are some researches which are going on right now where they are making people conditioned to certain situation and they force them to dream in that manner. It is different thing, but a normal most of us, I mean, we do not know what we are going to dream, whether it's altogether a very different world.
Yeah. It's intriguing, right? How we dream, how we have this sleep itself is a very intriguing thing.
Mhm.
That is why somewhere Gurudev mentioned, he said, if you understand your sleep, you would understand the creation. Creation and
Yeah, its intricacies and its mysterious nature. It's real wow feeling.
you cannot go to bed saying, okay, I'm going to dream today. They just happen. And how from dream state you slip into deep sleep state is also is not also in our hands.
True, very true.
Although the more a person meditates, the more sadhana one does, the less dreams one has. They simply slip into deep
Yeah,
sleep. Yeah, so
absolutely.
that aspect, yes, that is in our control. But what exactly happens when we dream, when and how we get those dreams, that is again not in our hands.
For example, the dream related to the place where we are speaking some other language or some other things we experience in dream.
Yeah, we'll get back on track. I know we deviated a little bit. I brought in that aspect of the dream, um, just just in order to highlight the thing that
But Ramaraji here that he said no, when the results are not according to what you are thinking, then you are wiser if you know that, and you will become a karma yogi. You will follow the karma there. That part, I can you repeat that again? That the mind goes yo-yo again, and after the result it is not desirable, then you are in a yo-yo state. That
yeah. So he says whether you get what you want or not, you can still gain something, and that is wisdom. Whether you gain or do not gain, there is always wisdom to gain. Supposing you do not get what you want, instead of becoming depressed and saying, "Oh, it's my bad luck" and things like that, you you become wise. See, not getting what you want does not mean you have become a failure. So, understanding and accepting, when you accept that result as it is, and you do not consider yourself a failure, it means that your limited knowledge has improved somewhat. You're not overpowered by that, the result of action. You have become little wiser in not getting what you expected to get. Or if the result is more than you expected, you are also wise. In addition, you try again thinking you will again get more. Out of greed, you want to get some more. And the result is not as you expected. You say, "What luck." Still, you have become wiser. So, whether you gain or do not gain, there is always wisdom to gain. This is definitely something to learn. This is that accepting the result. That is the wisdom that you learn. That it is you are realizing that there is something else that is governing the results. You realize that you have limited knowledge, and the moment you realize that the result, you accept the result, you have actually become a little more knowledgeable, you become more wise. What would be the opposite of that? You have not accepted the result, and then you become depressed. That is when you go into that yo yo state. But If you accept the result, you are becoming wiser in the sense you are maintaining your calm, you're maintaining the samatva. So every time you experience that samatva, you're becoming wiser, isn't it? Your ability to maintain that samatva itself is your wisdom, is you're expanding your limited knowledge little bit. Every time you do not accept, you are in that yo-yo state. Because we'll consider ourselves. So see the opposite of this. Supposing someone is not in samatva, what happens? The mind is constantly in turmoil. And you will take yourself responsible for the result. And then you'll consider yourself a failure. You'll say, oh, you'll sit in the culprit consciousness saying, I'm always like this. Whatever I take up, nothing, it's not successful at all. So, this recognition that the result is not in my hands. Sometimes I get what I want, sometimes I do not get less than what I want, sometimes I get more than what I want. Sometimes it is completely different. That makes us centered, that gives us that inner balance. So, getting that balance itself, you are wise. That is wisdom, right? So, whether you gain or do not gain, there is always wisdom to gain. There is definitely something to learn. To know that you are the author of the action but not the result thereof, therefore, thereof produces samatva. Is this what you wanted to know?
Yes, yes. Yes. Okay.
Hari Om Brahmaraji. So here samatva in both the aspect, right? Whether you become successful in whatever plans you have or you become failure, right? Both way you are accepting the samatva so that if you are successful, you are not inflated by the ego that I did this and it happened.
Correct. That is why in I think 43rd, 44th verse it is Sukha dukhe same bhutva labha labha jaya jaya. In all the pairs of opposites, you still take them with the same attitude. You consider all of them the same. So subtly, the doership is being taken off, right? The responsibility is only with respect to action. Problem is, we take this responsibility for the result of action. And that is a sure short way of getting depressed. So, this example of this postman bringing the money month after month, that does not mean the postman is benevolent, right? So, there is someone else who is sourcing the money. Similarly, the karma phala, the result is produced by the law, and the law itself is produced by another intelligent being. That all intelligent being, Brahman, is called Ishvara, the Lord. Before that, you must first recognize that the author of the laws produces the results of action, and that the laws themselves do not. When you go one step further and recognize the author as Ishvara, the Lord, you have the beginnings of Karma Yoga. There are still more steps to go, but this at least is the beginning. The creation is not created by me. Therefore, whoever did create it is Ishvara, and this same Ishvara is the giver of the results of action.
Here it is saying beginning of the karma yoga, means knowing yourself, means that moksha part will be not action part.
No, I didn't get it. What is it?
Lord, you have the beginning of the karma yoga. When you recognize the author is Ishvara, the Lord, you have the beginning of karma yoga. So here that mumukshatva part you will understand, means that you are not you are a doer, but the result is not in your hand. It is by some other law of Ishvara. So there is not helplessness, but he will understand. It's like it's because of some law we are getting the result, and it is not in our hand. That result is in not our hand. So we can understand. Means beginning of the karma yoga. Can you explain this sentence?
Yeah. So for karma yoga, see, being a pragmatic person, pragmatic earlier in that earlier paragraph we saw that a person who's ethical, who's dharmic, who's doing everything which is on the right side of law, he's doing right actions, and whatever result he gets, he's taking them with the same attitude. That is just simple samatva. But when you start recognizing that there is someone else, there is a higher power who is the actual author of the results, then you're opening yourself up to that Paramatma or Brahman. And like you rightly said, wanting to be free, wanting to come out of this limitation.
The flip side to this is the like the farmers, when there's a drought situation in between a few years back, for 2.5 years there was drought. They were working very hard tilling the soil, sowing the seeds, etc. But the result was not in their hands. And a lot of them, especially in Maharashtra, were committing suicide. The knowledge part of it was not there on the spiritual level. That is why suicide happens. And secondly, even at the worldly level, they don't know what to plant. Like where in drought prone areas, if we have to earn money, there is something like khajur, dates as we call it. And that is a crop that does not require water. So that kind of thing. So we put the suggestions to them when we go there to take courses. And some of the suggestions, when they implement, that knowledge is available to them through us, then they don't have to commit suicide. So both ways, the lack of knowledge, for worldly knowledge plus the spiritual knowledge, mm, leads them towards committing even suicide. The result is not available. It's not in their hands. So as you said, they are dharmic. They have done their work, but they are not in knowledge. Jai Gurudev.
That's why it is in the previous paragraph it was said, no, when you are so you face a failure, you gain something. So when the draft is there, so the knowledgeable person gave the knowledge, you should plant that trees. So nice.
Yeah, and like you rightly pointed out, Sarlaji, about mumukshutvam, Karma yoga is what is, from what we've understood earlier, it is a lifestyle. Like sannyasa is a lifestyle, karma yoga is also a lifestyle. And karma yoga, the goal of karma yoga is what is only moksha. Like sannyasa is towards moksha, karma yoga is also towards moksha. It's a different lifestyle. So the person who's dharmic has no inkling about, he's not even thinking about moksha. He's only living his life. He is only an ethical person. So for him, the he's not even maybe he may not even be exposed to this knowledge that there is freedom, that there is moksha. To come out of this, he may not even consider that there is life after death. He is just living life like most ethical people live. But getting exposed to this knowledge that there is atma, there is anatma, and there is moksha, of the four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The ethical person is only doing dharma, artha, and kama. That's it. But that moksha purushartha is something that happens when your mind matures. That to even think about moksha, you require that adrishta phala, that unknown factor. Which is why Krishna says, of the so many people on the planet, only a few will even think about attaining moksha, about think about me. And of those people, only a few will actually, maybe one or two, he says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yadapi siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvata. Of those many who pursue me, only one will actually attain me. Very few, that is so. So basically, that to get on to even thinking about moksha, first you have to recognize Ishvara. That is why it said you have the beginnings of karma yoga. When you recognize that the author of the results of your action is someone other than you, are not the one, right? You are not the author of your actions or the results of your actions. So recognizing that Ishvara is the beginnings of karma yoga. There are still more steps to go, but this at least is the beginning. The creation is not created by me. Therefore, whoever did create it is Ishvara, and the same Ishvara is the giver of the results of action. And that all intelligent being, Brahman, is called Ishvara, the Lord, with reference to the creation. He is the overlord, in fact, the top man and the boss, not limited by time, space, or anything. If you all
So
permit
again,
me,
the result. So again, the result is not bound by time, space, and or anything. It's not limited by time, space, and anything.
it is not that the result is not limited by time, space, or anything. He is not. Ishvara is not.
Okay. Thank
Result, of course, is limited by time, space, no?
you. Hmm.
Result
Correct.
is governed by the laws of karma. But who is the one who is governing these laws? That is, he is
Brahman.
beyond space and
Hmm.
anything. He is
Okay.
not limited. He has unlimited knowledge. Remember those 6 bhagas of Bhagavan? Absolute knowledge. And that is not limited, mind you. He is not talking of the limited knowledge of a jiva. It's absolute knowledge, absolute wealth, absolute shreyas, fame, absolute dispassion, vairagya. So we'll do the nature of the author. If you all permit me, I will read this also. So then we have a completion of this part. The nature of the author. The Veda comes in here to address the question of the author and his creation. From that Brahman alone, the 5 elements are born. Therefore, with reference to the creation, that Brahman is considered to be Parameshwara. Not only is he Parameshwara, the author, the maker of the creation, Nimitta Karana, he is also the material. This is another important point. Because the world, Jagat, is Mithya, having no independent existence apart from Brahman, it requires only a Mithya cause called Maya. Maya, also being Nitya, has no independent existence apart from the Satya Brahman, whereas Satya does not depend upon anything for its existence. In the Maya, there is Satya. Being Mithya, the Jagat is also Satya, and so are we. It is not that originally there was Brahman and now we have to cross over everything to reach that Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Wherever there is Mithya, there is Satya. And that Satya is the basis, Adhisthana for everything. Therefore, that Parameshwara himself, who is Param Brahma and who is the cause of the creation, Nimitta Karana, who is omniscient, Sarvagnya, and omnipotent, Sarva Shaktiman, is also the material cause of the creation, Upadana Karana. Thus, he is not only the maker of the results of action, but also the very law, the very result of action, in fact. Because our topic is Karma Yoga, we will not go beyond this point here, since to do so becomes Jnana. We say then that Ishvara is the maker of the laws and also that the laws are not separate from him. The results of action coming as they do from the laws that are not separate from Ishvara, the Lord, and they come from Ishvara. It is this recognition of Ishvara that converts the simple samatva to karma yoga. Without Ishvara, what we have been discussing is nothing more than a pragmatic approach to life. But here we are dealing with a purely religious approach, which is entirely different because it recognizes Ishvara, the Lord, as the giver of the results of action, karma phaladata, and oneself as only the doer of action, karma karta. Therefore, to be a karma yogi, one has to accept Ishvara. Ishvara now has one more definition, the one who has all knowledge, Sarvagnya. And when we say Sarva Shaktiman, we mean that he is all powerful and has all skills, being the creator of everything. Another defining word we have seen is Karma Phaladata, the giver of the fruits of action. These definitions eliminate the problems that arise when it is said that God created all beings. I may naturally ask why God created one person blind and another lame. If I am told that being God, he is justified to do whatever he likes and that I should not question him, I will definitely ask why God's creation is even talked about, since it is obviously nothing to boast about. especially when I'm also told that He is all compassion. I'm asked to worship and love Him. But when I look at this creation with so much human suffering, God's compassion falls apart for me. Then I'm told that He's justified in whatever He does, and I'm supposed to love Him. How can I? The explanation of human suffering. I think we will stop here because I know this can go on endless. So we'll come back to why Ishvara needs to be recognized for you to become a karma yogi. Hmm? Recognizing the author of the laws. Does anyone want to share anything before we close?
In Vignan Bhairav, Gurudev had stated that the mother-in-law harassing the daughter-in-law, that you have to look for the cause behind the cause. And that is Shiv Tattva itself, which makes the mother-in-law behave in this manner with the daughter-in-law. And then when the daughter-in-law gets a child and that child gets married, then these two mother-in-laws, hand in hand together, they go to the temple. Then how do they get along? This is all Shiva's doing so that you become stronger and can go through challenging situations in life. What we are talking about, Ishvara being the results being
Oh,
in the hands of Ishvara. I just connected it to that. Jai Gurudev.
and I remember the example of that mud and pot. Means the again the that earthly pot, when it dissolves again it becomes the mud, and that mud again means that the fabrication is of his own existence only. There is nothing other than that. In and through everything is he.
So Ishvara is not just the Nimitta Karana, he is also the Upadana Karana. That is what the Veda comes to our understanding here. It's from Brahman alone. If you look at our Tattva Bodh, out from Brahmashraya Maya and Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunatmika Maya. And all the Panchamahabhutas arise from Maya. So Ishvara is in and through all of creation. He's not separate. He's not someone sitting high up in heavens, giving the orders and the law. He runs through the fabric of creation. He is the creation. So that is what we need to recognize. I think we'll do these two paras again tomorrow and then we'll continue. ॐ लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु जय गुरुदेव
3 बार ओंकार करते हैं, सब रीढ़ की हड्डी सीधा रखें। गहरी सांस लीजिए और छोड़ें। Nothing around us is real, neither this body or the world. शरीर और हमारे परिसर में जो भी है ये सब समाप्त हो जाने की ही है। ये कुछ भी सत्य नहीं। हमारे भीतर एक बिंदु है, सिर्फ वही सत्य है। There is a tiny dot inside of you. Only that is truth. That doesn't change. You are a witness to everything. आप सबके साक्षी हो। मुस्कुराते मुस्कुराते एक सांस लीजिए और मुस्कुराते मुस्कुराते छोड़े. Breathe in with a smile and breathe out with a smile. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may open your eyes.